I hear two main themes in what you just shared. One is transparency, having that degree of transparency, of what you can and cannot do. Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Gee.
And the other, you said, hey, we've done this stuff before.
Yeah.
We know our capacity, which for me, that means in order for people to feel more and more comfortable going out on that ledge, you kind of got to go out on that ledge more often so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
There's
know
nothing
what
like
you can
experience,
do.
right? If you don't do anything, you'll never know. If you do start doing stuff, you learn. And boy, you learn quickly when you make a mistake, and that's fine. But yeah, I know from time to time we'd have a client come to us and tell us that's not how this works. What I like to say is, hey, treat your clients very respectfully, and they're the source of your business, and they're wonderful. But oftentimes I'll say, look, we've done X thousand of these.
Yeah.
This I this is how it works. Don't tell us. They're acting like it's an exception. It's like no, 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 no. Or we're telling them there's an exception. It's like we do this more often than you do. So don't tell us. I mean, again, say it in a nice way, but,
Oh
but
yeah.
it gives you confidence. And that's what I tell our people. It's like, hey, nobody knows more about this than us. So don't be snowed by somebody that tries to say that there's a different. We might learn from them. We might learn new things. It's
Hmm.
always great to listen, but don't get pushed around by somebody that tells we don't know what we're doing.
I like that. I like that because eh, okay, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep pulling that thread. Um, I agree with you. I've also been in those situations where someone may be pushing me to do a particular way because that's how they've always done it.
Yeah,
And from my experience, I'm like, well, that's not the only way. But the reality is that that takes a degree of confidence
yeah.
to be able to push back on someone. Do you have any ideas? What are your thoughts on how people can build that resilience, that confidence that they don't just get mowed over, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think again, some of it is people's innate personality, and you've got to build it over time. The other thing is, um, it's like in a negotiation. People tend to think the other guy's got more power than he does. It's like this. You
Mm,
tend to think this client, they're doing this or that, or they're these. They're just people. A lot of them, they don't know what. So don't be overly impressed with them, or and be impressed. Realize what you have is something that's because you might take it for granted. So part of it is just building. It's like, okay, they're saying all this stuff, but I mean, I don't know how many times early on we're like, wait a minute, we can't do this. They're giving us something that's beyond we can't program it, but we could do this, that, and the other. We went to the client and said, hey, look, we can take it this far, but we can't. And they said, oh, that's fine. We'll get this other company to do this. They had no problem. Or sometimes you'll say it, and a company will say, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I understand it. So more often than not, any issues or fears you have, they recognize, and they're happy. Most of the people are happy that they much rather you raise it early, right, than
mhm.
later. I always say, give bad news early. Don't wait and say maybe. Tell them early, early, early. Say the earlier they know it, the earlier they can try something
Plan.
else or do something, and it gets it off your chest because then you stop worrying about it. And most of the time, it turns out it's not a big issue. It's big in your head, right? It's not, but it's not really big.
I'm going to share some advice I was given that is completely inappropriate. So I hope I don't get myself in trouble. Um, so, a supervisor I once worked for, and when I started working for him, I've learned so much from this person. Um, the first thing he brought me in the office, he said, "Look, if anything goes wrong, you let me know. We can fix it. We can fix anything that goes wrong. But if someone dies, we can still fix it. Just takes more paperwork." And so, so and I know, not a great, I understand where it is. But the point is, what you're saying is like, don't hide things when things are going wrong, or if you
Right.
know you're not gonna be able to meet something, don't hide it because ultimately you're gonna have to deal with it. Someone's got to deal with it, and you might as well provide them with the information so
And
they
it's
can start
much
planning.
smaller problem earlier,
Hmm.
earlier than later. Well, and it's something I tell a team. I mean, we're dealing with healthcare situations, and that's really important to people. But I said, but we're not. Our work isn't life and death. We're not saving lives this minute. So every once in a while, a client will be, if this doesn't happen today, it's the end of the world. It's like, actually, it's not the end of the world. And we usually, because you know what, how in our business, here we are recording it Friday afternoon. It's always late on a Friday that a client comes. We need to launch this study today. And I can tell you why they're saying that from my experience. They're saying because somebody along the way promised it would be launched that week. And they want to be able to say, yes, it got out that week. Mm-hmm. That's not the question they should ask, though. They should be asking, how soon will we have the results? That's what you care. You don't care when it goes out. You care when it comes back. And so I would say, look, if we force it out at the end of the day with errors and it's out on the weekend without any supervision, that's not a good situation. We can go out first thing Monday, and believe me, we get results much faster than you think. We'll have it on time and in higher quality. So don't just because somebody said somebody made a promise.